Hey guys, Josh here. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Fundamentals 2 program that will be starting today at 6:45 p.m., which I believe today would be the 8th of June. Fundamentals 2 program has a few intents, some focuses, and then the importance of the program. And then we're going to go over some questions that you might have to be going into and out of that class. Number one, the intent of the Fundamentals 2 program is going to mimic Monday's lift. We're going to mimic Monday's lift. Typically, that's our central nervous system taxation day or our Olympic day. We're going to start those lifts all at the high hang position. We're going to progressively over the weeks work closer to the floor, but we are all going to start at the exact same position, which is the high hang position, so that we develop that position before we add anything that's a little bit more complicated to that. And typically working to the floor is where we get a little bit more complicated. So we're going to really focus on that high hang position and then progressing weekly, hopefully getting a little bit closer to the floor, but also getting back to the previous week's position before that barbell ever travels up the body. The focus of Fundamentals 2, we're going to focus heavily on technique and positioning. Beforehand, we're going to do a lot of positioning mobility-wise. We're going to get into the position that we're going to be needing to get into in that day's lift, in that day's skill. We're going to mobilize in that position. And then also, we're going to spend a lot of time on skill development of that technique. There is no point for you to learn how to do a snatch or a clean, a handstand push-up, a kip one way, and then the next day you come in here and you do something different. We want to hammer that technique so that it becomes almost natural to us. So we're going to focus highly on that technique. The importance of the program, skill development is number one. We're going to develop the skills. Like I said, we're going to focus on that technique to develop those skills so that it becomes second nature to us. That way we're doing the exact same movement every single time, the same way we would be if we were squatting. We want every squat to look very similar to almost to the exact same as the one before. So we're going to work and focus on the importance of the skill development first, as well as proper skill development, and I like to think of this as task completion. Simply getting a barbell over my head, say in a snatch or a split jerk, is not the same as properly getting it over my head, so that we can use our bodies the way they're meant to be used and be able to stack weight like it's supposed to be stacked over our spine. So we're going to learn how to properly develop those skills as well, and then we're going to have proper task completion along with that. Also with that, the importance of mobility, of how to get into typical positions that are needed to be overhead, to be hanging from a pull-up bar, or to be upside down in a handstand. We're going to focus on the mobility side of that thing as well to really get into those positions that our bodies need to be able to be into and then be safe in those positions. And then I guess finishing up, some questions. A couple questions I've gotten. Should I do like a 5:45 CrossFit 6:45 Fundamentals 2 class? My answer to that is no. Like I said, this is going to be Mondays, typically our heavy central nervous system taxation day. And anyway, we're going to be mimicking Monday's lift. So I would rather you bring your 100% to that Fundamentals 2 class. Yes, it might not be physically demanding at 100%, but mentally 100% of you is going to need to be there so we can develop those skills. After a couple months, 2-3 months, maybe developing those skills, you can transition maybe into going into possibly 2 a day. But when we're starting off, first couple months, hey, just Mondays at Fundamentals 2 is going to be plenty for you. Number two, is this appropriate for beginners, intermediate, advanced? My answer to that is, if you have ever felt like you didn't quite get that lift, if you don't quite understand what hip contact is, if you don't quite understand what a vertical hip is, or if you're a little bit off and you feel there's something shaky in your start, your hip position or your fitness position, if those ever applied to you, this class is going to be very important for you to attend, maybe not all the time, once in a while, so that you can put the training wheels back on, feel comfortable again doing these movements, and then progressing towards something a little bit more challenging. So yes, regardless if you're the beginner of beginners, or if you're the most advanced of being most advanced, this class is appropriate for you. And then coming out of fundamentals, what I really push is, after fundamentals, we don't get any introduction in fundamentals to any of these category 3 movements or these complicated gymnastics movements. So coming Mondays at 6:45 to this Fundamentals 2 class is going to make coming later on down the line a little bit more comfortable for you, and you're just going to get some more experience moving, and then as we begin, hey, we know that that experience moving and consistency moving is what's most important for our development. So yes, you should be coming, if you're the beginners, if you're the advanced, and then out of Fundamentals 1, you should be coming to this class as well. Thanks, guys.